praying to God, yeah. Yeah, I'm letting down my God, yeah. I know the angels are watching over me. I feel peace surrounding me. Yeah, yeah. I will be okay. I will be okay. Yeah. Me, let me turn this off, man. Let me turn this off, man. Well, to my mother, let me turn this off, man. Let me turn this off, man. We got one person in the building. What's the word? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Welcome. You know what I'm saying? We live. Let me just see how I sound on y'all's end, man. I look terrible. My camera, I promise y'all, is so much better than this, but my connection has just been off lately. Mm. Uh, little scat action going, man. A little bit of ASMR in the chat going, man. So Chris, I don't know what Chris is, but if y'all have any questions for me, you already know the deal. Drop them in the chat. Say what's up. If you have anything you want to ask me, go ahead and ask. Well, up 0 people. Never mind. 0 people. It's weird. I don't know. YouTube is weird because it'll be like there's 0 people in here, but then I don't know. It's weird. I guess it's delayed. I don't know how many people are actually watching this, so I stopped counting like live viewers a while ago, man, because it's like I post this up later anyways. It says 2 people, but it could be 0. But like I said, welcome to another installment of Jam More Interviews. If you have any questions for me, the host, while we wait for Chris, um, yeah. So, all right, he says he's on his way, so y'all won't have to deal with my loudness very soon. Man, check out the mic though, man. Check out the mic though, man. Get into that. Get into that, man. Get into that. Get into that, man. All right. Chat is the chat live? No, the chat is not live. The chat is very much quiet. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, waiting for the guest of honor of guest. You're so not a lot of people. 3 people, nice. I'd love to see people join the live, man. I honestly think I'm gonna just switch to YouTube lives like permanently if I do an interview, because it's like, but first I gotta fix my connection, because this is bad. If when y'all see me look to the side, it's because my computer's here and the camera's right in front of me. So now it looks like I'm looking at y'all. When I look at when I look at here, I'm looking at the computer. So yeah, should be a good mic, but not good mic. Well, this is a fantastic mic, but what's it called? It's supposed to be a good camera. But like I said, connection is bad, so I don't even know if people can hear me like that for real. Like I said, let me tap in with y'all, man. Let me see what y'all hearing, what y'all listening to, man. Do I really? Alright, that sounds fine. Camera looks like booty because the connection in this room, unfortunately, is gonna take a dip in quality for a couple days. But shouldn't derail from the show too much. Hopefully not. Just got to deal with what you're given sometimes. We've It's that if y'all have learned anything from me or these shows, learn that or these interviews, learn that you make the best with what you're given. And right now, I'm giving like some pretty iffy Wi-Fi right now, so camera might not look that great because of that. Wi-Fi might not, but hey, man, it's all good. Hopefully it'll get fixed soon. So sorry about that. I want to play some music, but like YouTube, it's funny. YouTube isn't as bad with copyrighted material as it is Instagram. Like with Instagram, it'll shut down the live. It'll report. I hate Instagram's copyright system. That's why like I really want to move over to here mainly, or like Twitch, because it's just like it's so unfair. Instagram's copyright rules. It's also really weird how it works too. So I can post the same song, right? The same song that you give from your music app, and I'll be fine. But when I post uh that same song, it's a copyright claim. You blocking it in like 50 countries? Like, are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. Um, hold on. Hold on, everyone. Our guest of honor is here. Hold on. Give me a second. Gotta get things correct. All right, now I'm about to get into the intro. Chris, I cannot hear you or see you right now because you're in the waiting room. But don't worry about it. You're fine. I'm just about to do my intro and then we could get started. All right. All right. All right, baby. Yeah. Welcome to another installment of Jam More Interviews. I'm your host, Josh, aka Jam More, and today I'll be speaking with a multi-talented artist who has appeared in every live-action Disney Plus Star Wars TV show. You could see him take on the role as K90 or Zero, the Ferryman, multiple RA7 units in The Mandalorian, the Server Droid, the Traffic Droid, and Cos Dog in the Book of Boba Fett. Cos Dog was that creature in the elevator with the Mandalorian just looking at him crazy. One Jack and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and has donned the iconic golden boots of C-3PO in multiple TV shows, specials, commercials, and movie premieres. On top of that, he has experience as a UX director and graphics designer in multiple video games. Please help me welcome actor, musician, graphics and costume designer Bart Chris Bartlett. If I got that wrong, he's gonna correct me. So yeah, let's go.
Hey,
Yeah.
Josh. You got it right. You got it right. It's Chris Bartlett. That's right.
Yay.
How are you?
I'm doing well on this stormy day in Georgia. It's like thundering like crazy over here.
Oh,
So
is it? Wow.
yeah, it's warming here these past couple of days, and it's just been raining and raining, and it's been raining. I like the rain, but at a certain point, it's just kind of like, all right, you can stop now. It's enough. You can stop now.
Well,
But
I'm on the opposite coast in Los Angeles. It's just been sunny and hot forever. We only have like 3 weeks of winter, and then it's just raining for 3 weeks in February, and then it's sunny again. But anyway, I can't complain.
lucky man. But
Yeah.
before I get into the questions, I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining me today. It's such an honor and a privilege to be getting to speak to you. Huge fan of your work and the characters you played and have helped bring to life in these fantastic Disney Plus live action Star Wars shows. It's just really glad to be bringing you on and speak about your experience. And I hope to make a fun and enjoyable interview for you today. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, Josh, it's my pleasure, and I've seen your past work on your interviews, and some of the people you've had have just been really fantastic interviews. So, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for watching. Really means the world to me that something that I really never planned to take so far really has just caught on fire. I mean, over 90 plus people now going on, and it's like,
Yeah,
Jesus, like this is really taking on a life of its own more than I expected. Still a blessing to still be here. Seriously, like I genuinely always pinching myself. It's
good.
kind of like doing these is like your childhood. I mean, you could attest to this too. It's kind of like
Yeah,
my childhood looking back at me and like being like, "You're doing good, kid." And it's like, Jesus, man, this is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah. Great. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here with you, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about some really fun, stuff about life, stuff about Star Wars, stuff about droids, and yeah. So
Oh, you already know I got all of
let's
that
go.
covered, man. I got all of that covered.
Good, good.
um, my first question to you is one that I always like to start off all of my interviews with is just a little thing about the artist, man, because I know so much about your work, but one great thing about these shows is just getting to know more about the person behind the art. So my first question to you is, how would you
Mhm.
say your childhood background and childhood influences has helped you as an artist today?
That's a great question. I've been really blessed to have two very encouraging parents. When I was in college, my dad gave me some advice. I came home and I was like, yeah, maybe I should do something else. Maybe I should do something like that, like be a, I don't know, optometrist or something. He was like, no, you do what you're good at and what you like to do because you will be successful at it if you just keep at it. Just keep doing the thing that you really like doing. Um, you know, and they're fairly conservative parents, and they, you wouldn't. I don't think I expected that from them. Like yeah, just get a job. Just they were not like that, but they were always creative. My dad always, helped me build my own costumes as a kid, or build. We were always in the garage building stuff, making stuff. My mom was always such a cheerleader. When I was a musician, and just all my creative stuff. She still continues to be really creative, really cheerleader. My favorite cheerleader. But and also I was also blessed to live in a time where or grow up in a time where we had some stuff that we'd never seen before, especially like with Star Wars, with George Lucas and Star Wars. Uh, Video games also had just been accessible to people, regular consumers, and I just thought this is the best time to grow up.
Yeah, I kind of relate to that too, where it's just like so much childhood stuff that I've grown up with like Transformers and GI Joe and stuff like that has
Yeah,
really just left a mark on me and my mom, even supporting these interviews or me telling her, "Hey, I want to be an actor or a director. I want to just do everything in the entertainment industry that I can do." And her being so supportive of that and being like, "Hey, you want to do it, go for it. Here's some internships and boom, and do this and look into that and look into this scholarship and
yeah,
this, that, and the third." So it's just really awesome to have people who are supportive of your goals and who even though they might not understand, they'll still be like, hell yeah, go
right.
ahead and do your thing, man, do your thing. And that's always a
Yeah,
beautiful thing to have, and to have people like that in your life is such a
it's a
beautiful
huge
thing to have,
it's a
man.
huge yeah, it's a huge blessing, because when if you don't have that, if it's the opposite, if you have people constantly telling you, don't do that, you're not good at that, or whatever, that can really weigh someone down. So to have anybody in your life that is supportive, they're like an angel. I mean, it's a real blessing. So I'm grateful to have those people all around me, and I'm glad you have your mom supporting you as well.
Absolutely. I got some great friends too who are really, really
Good.
excited and proud of the stuff I'm doing too. So that's something we both something I'm glad that we both have as we navigate through a very, very interesting side of the business. Very a
Right.
lot of industry stuff, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, a lot of rejection, a lot of no's, a lot of this, then a third, a lot of
Sure.
background politics. But we make it through, man, and we still
Yeah.
find our passion and go back to the things that made us passionate about doing this in the first place and just being like, all right, this is why I did it. This is why I love it. So
Josh, something I found is no's. Most of the time, no's just mean for this particular project, this this take that I did on it, it doesn't necessarily work for this particular project, right? So it doesn't mean one, I'm a bad artist or I'm a bad performer. All it means is the choice that you made for this one doesn't really work for this one. So what they can do is go, hey, give you direction and go, hey, why don't you try this? Or they might be like, we're looking at a lot of people, and you know, just your choices for this one didn't work, but that choice for another production may be exactly what they're looking for. Or maybe you've got 1,000 other choices that you can try. So just don't take it you know as it's you. It's just that choice for that project. Sometimes it takes like it's like a combination lock for them to fit together and like, okay, this works. Well, there's a million other possibilities that you have that you could do. So I try not to take it personal. Yeah.
Definitely don't take that no personal of anything. Let it motivate you. I was listening to I went to this con, MomoCon, and I don't know if you know the actor, but Corey Payton, he's done a ton of voice acting stuff like Cyborg and Teen Titans, and he was Ezekiel on The Walking Dead. Anyways, he was
Uh-huh.
just like, let that disappointment motivate you or let it go. And I was like, damn, that's a
Yeah.
bar. That's a bar.
Yeah. Right. That's
Seriously,
tough
don't
sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. That can be.
don't let it drag you,
Yeah. That's good
So
advice.
seriously, I was listening to I was like, damn, I didn't expect to get that from that question.
That's good.
um, but on top of, just people being supportive of you, I know you're also were a musician growing up and playing drums, and that's really cool. I love music. Music is my second love, man, and especially drums. Ugh, give me a drum set one day. Like seriously, I need to get on
Yeah.
the kit once or twice. I love music and I love instruments that much. Uh, I love instruments a lot. So words, tongue twisters, shit. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But um, what attracted you to music growing up and drums as well? I know music had a profound effect on you, especially going on stage and playing for people.
Yeah. Well, to me, music, like I was always creative, and music was the most accessible way for me to be able to perform. More so than acting, because there wasn't like a real drama program or any in the school that I grew up with, or that I was aware of. Um, but I really loved performing, and I loved, making something. I always liked creating something, whether it was like creating a sound or creating a song or creating something that, hadn't been heard before or whatever. And then doing it with a group of people, like creating something together that was much bigger than just any one of us could have done. Um, and plus learning a new skill. Like I love learning and if I can combine it with performing, that was the best. So that was why I got into because ultimately instruments are something anyone can learn. Some people have more proficiency for it or than others, but it's something a skill that it's like learning to ride a bike or learning to drive a car, or learning how to operate a I don't know, piece of machinery. um, but it's something that can be taught, and I think a lot of people think, oh, they're just born with that talent. I'm not born with that talent, so I can't, I shouldn't do that. No, nobody's born knowing how to memorize lines, or no one's born learning how to change their character into a different character and be believable. That's a skill that's taught, and most skills are something that anyone can learn. So
Right. It takes that drive and that passion for
yeah,
that specific thing, it's really you really for a path like this, just goes back to what your father was saying to you young on, do something you're good at and do something that you love and make a career out of that. And you have, and that's really awesome. I know a lot of people who are doing stuff that they hate and just doing to pay the bills, and it's a sad thing for real. It's a sad thing
yeah.
for
On the one
real,
hand,
and
they're working. On the other hand, my dad did say, I know what it's like to go to work every day for a whole career and not like what I'm doing. So he really took that sort of disappointment and helped teach me the most valuable lesson I could have
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, to just speak to that and doing art, this is a pretty big question. I've never really gotten a chance to ask one, so you're the first person I've asked
Exciting.
this
Okay, let's
question
go.
to. But what is the significance of art and its impact in society in general? You've helped tell some phenomenal stories and done your own work to help bring stories to life in your own way through working on games or doing music or building stuff. So, what do you find the significance of in art?
To me, the significance of art is two things. One, create beauty, or well, maybe three things: beauty, function, and escape. Right? So there's function. There's architects who design buildings. Okay, those are functional, but they also can be beautiful. And then it could be a place where people go for vacation. So like that'd be three in one. But the art is, when I think of like what do I do for a living? I make video games and I also create stories in a galaxy far away. Uh, that is an escape for people. It also, if you do it right, you can teach something. Also, like George Lucas did in the original Star Wars, and I think we continue to do is, teach morality lessons to rising generation, and but it is yeah. There's a function. Art creates function in our society. It creates beauty. It adds beauty to those things that are merely functional, and then an escape for to escape the stresses of life. Because if you're just living life and just going uh, from stress to stress, art can really help to alleviate that and bring joy. And then if you can be the person creating those things, oh man, that's a dream life. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it answered it very well, and I myself agree with that. There's just so much beauty out there in whatever form, whether it be music or even paintings. I mean, some paintings, and even we could talk about some fan art that's out there for some characters you've played. It's just like so beautiful, those pictures, and to just appreciate the amount of love and passion that goes into this craft or into what people make. It's
Mhm.
just it's really, it makes my jaw drop to the ground. There's really no words for it. And like you're saying, creating art, it's something that I love doing. In a sense, I look at these interviews as art because I'm getting to hear your story, and I'm getting to tell my story too, and we're just telling a beautiful story that can help inspire or motivate someone. That's why I like you, man. You got a lot of inspirational stuff on your
Oh, good.
Instagram, and just like a lot of your a lot of your interviews. What the
You just
my
coined a new
my
phrase, an insta view. Wow, look at that right here. This happened. Josh created a new term, insta view.
and
No,
he
but
created
Josh,
because he was
you
tired.
you are a
Yeah.
creator. You're creating these interviews, and that is an art, and that can be an escape for people too. For audiences. So like I think anything that a person can do to make something, whether it's you're making a costume or you're making a story or you're making a TV show or you're making an atmosphere where you can learn, or you're making a vehicle, or whatever. um, it's that you become a creator, and like 3PO says, thank the maker. Like if you can make something, it's different. That's different than just being entertained. Like I asked my boys, my sons, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And they used to say, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what do you like to do? Well, I like to play Minecraft. Oh, okay, all right. Well, you know, you could. It's not enough to just be entertained. To like what can you do with that, or is there something else that you're interested in? And so sometimes we talk about like my dad said, do the thing that you're passionate about. Well, what if you don't know what you're passionate about? You know, like there are kids who have been entertaining themselves with video games and entertain other entertainment, and like maybe they don't know what they're passionate about other than like watching stuff or watching other people do make stuff. And so what I tell my boys and also fans when I go out to conventions and stuff is think about the things that you're curious about. So like if there's the things that you want, like how does that work? Like that thing over there, how's that made? Or you know um, those kind of questions that you're curious about. Maybe there's like 10 things that you're wondering, like how did that come to be? Um, and then you start to like research those things. I mean, thankfully we have a little box we can type questions into and we can just get answers out of. But it's way easier now than when I was a kid. But anyway, you can research, and when you're researching those things, you find one or two of those things are going to pop out to you like, I can't stop learning more about this thing. That becomes the thing you're passionate about. And so just think about it. Like if you don't know what you're passionate about, just think about the things you're curious about, and then you'll find the thing you're passionate about by researching that thing. And then you have your life path, your destiny. Now you know what to do.
Definitely, and that's how I stumbled upon just acting and just all this stuff. One of my biggest acting inspirations for me is Transformers. That series really means a lot to me. As you can see, I'm a huge Transformers
Yeah.
fan. All the all the figures in the back. Got a couple Star Wars stuff there and some Star Wars stuff on the walls, as you can see. But
Uh-huh.
mainly Transformers is just that series that has inspired me to really take the entertainment industry serious. I've always been curious about the behind the scenes, and that's another
Yeah.
reason I wanted to speak to you, is because I'm just so interested behind all this stuff that's being made and just like how it all comes together. It's always been so cool to me because I'm just looking at this big CGI Optimus Prime transforming and just how that's made, and seeing the VFX people come together and make it so it's intricate and looks cool. Still to this day, it's just like, my God, man, like that stuff is just always interesting to me. That's why I look at interviews and read and try to get a more insight into how these people think or how things are made. And that's
Mhm.
another big reason why this interviewing stuff is still going on, because I'm still curious and I'm still learning
Good
something
for
new
you.
each person I speak to. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing here. It's a beautiful exchange.
Well, you know what's cool about Transformers and Star Wars is that they have characters that are relatable. Like Optimus Prime can look as complex as he does in the films, or he can look as simple as he does in the cartoons. But you can understand where he's coming from because it's a well-written story, and he's a character that like you get. So like when I talk to people ask about like how do you get into costuming and stuff, and I'm like, or how do you get into acting? Um, you know, you could start with any costume or no costume. You if you can get someone to feel something in something that you make or something that you create, you're already going. You've already started on your path. Um, so anyway, it doesn't take the world's greatest costume to make the best character. It takes a person who's passionate about telling a story and making a believable character to make a character feel real. Costumes are an assistant to a great character. They're not the character. You know.
Definitely
Here's an
agree
example of
with
that,
that.
Josh. Here's an example of that. When you're in a convention and you see stormtroopers walking around, right? At
Oh,
first you're like, oh, that's cool. But if you see, they're just like kind of walking and like, oh, they just look like regular guys in costumes, like, oh, okay. But when you see them like, and they're talking like, all right, we'll check it out, like, and they're like looking around and they're pointing, and they're move along, this kind of stuff, like they're acting like that's a character. It's not a costume. So costume is just something someone wears. A character is something that someone is, and so that's what makes great characters.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. And you've done a great job with playing a role in all these franchises and making your own art. And I want to get into some of that art now. I want to get into this extensive resume you got going on here. This is a very impressive resume. I want to talk about your time as a graphics designer and a UX director on tons of games. You've worked on the Gears of War games, the rebooted Tomb Raiders, and most recently, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone game. Are you I don't know if you could tell, are you working on the newest Call of Duty?
No, I've moved on from that project. I'm working on a new Star Wars project, actually. So it's like
What?
worlds colliding, right? So, as actors, we all have day jobs, or those of us who, are not Carl Weathers, or we all have day jobs. So my day job is as a graphic designer and an art director in video games, and so I was doing that before I became an actor, and uh, and I really enjoyed doing it. So, user experience director is basically I make sure that the game is fun and that players don't rage quit, right? Or that they have a good time playing or trying a new game. A UI designer is a user interface designer. So that's kind of like all targeting reticles and heads up displays and how the game is communicating to you and the feedback that you get as a player. When you shoot something and nothing happens, that's boring. If you shoot something and it goes poof, like, oh, that's fun, right? Um, and so that's part of the experience. That the experience of the player is that's a good user experience, and the interface is what the game does or how it communicates to you um, in to make it fun. So one example is in Call of Duty, uh, we there's regular gunfire sounds, right? And but the player, you need to hear or know that that you're hitting something, right? So if you're missing it, you don't hear anything. But if you hit something like, oh, it's way in the distance, but you hear like metal go tink tink tink, or if you hit another player, you get this like thud thud thud, and so that's the game communicating to the player, hey, you did something, okay. And then when you would say kill another player, right, kill an enemy, you would get this thump thump thump, and then you get kind of like a combination, a special, very special sound that is not really defined in the game, but it's kind of like gets those kind of like endorphins going, like you feel like a kind of like a ding sound or like a bell sound or some kind of like special sound that you only hear when you take out another enemy, and that's part of the user experience to make players feel have a fun experience, fun feeling when they do something in the game. And that's what we try to do on the shows as well, is try to make the players the audiences, um, have a good experience. Dave Filoni says, in the end, Star Wars should give you a good feeling, and that's something that gives audiences a good experience. There are times when you have a bad feeling, but that is also a good feeling. When you feel something like, oh my gosh, Darth Vader is Luke's father. What? Like that's bad news, but it makes you feel like, oh wow, this is so compelling. So anyway, it's all about helping audiences, whether they're players or watchers, to have a good feeling in their seats, and that's what we're trying to do in games and in Star Wars.
It all intersects, man. It all it all
Yeah.
coincides. It all goes it twists and turns into one another. I'm hearing that a lot with your path in this industry and your journey with it. But how'd you end up working on these games though? Like, what interests you the most about being a user experience director or a graphics designer? Like, how'd this all start?
Well, as a kid, I always drew a lot. Like I would draw, I would draw stuff like this, you know, and uh, and so
You
I was
drew
drawing.
that?
Yeah, so I would draw all the. Yeah, here you go. So
That
I
is
would draw
so
all the time.
cool.
So this is my character Zero, Q90, and so I was like, well, what can I do with this? Like, would I be a comic book artist? Would I be an animator, or what would I do? And we had this career day at high school. This was in the 80s, so they were like, oh, you can go into commercial art. There's nothing for like animator or comic book artist. Like that was my dream. That's what I wanted to do, but I didn't. They didn't present that as a job. So I went into graphic design, which led to user interface design, and like websites or interactive kind of things, and that led into games because those are interactive things. And then the more I learned about how the game speaks to the player, uh, that became more user experience. And so I'm still an artist, and I still create and design interfaces and experiences for players. Um, and Yeah, so that's how I got into the game. So how I actually got a job in the game industry was hang on just a second. Um,
Show and tell.
I was working at a interactive studio, and we weren't making games, but one of the guys said, "Oh, you should go over to Epic Games. They all drive Lamborghinis." And I was like, "Wow, well, I mean, I'm not a Lamborghini guy, but you know, I still would love to work in games." So I submitted my portfolio as a graphic artist, and I called them that afternoon. Like I sent it in the morning, and then I called them in the afternoon, and they're like, "We have like 400 people we're going through, so we'll give you a call when we get to yours." And I'm like, "I can't wait that long. I got to do something. I got to figure out what to do." So I had a stormtrooper costume, and this is in 2005. And so it looked just like this as a sand trooper from Star Wars. Okay, looked like this. So I put this on,
Nice.
and I went down to Epic Games, and I just walked into the building and rode the elevator up, and then I got off the elevator, had this big weapon, this big backpack, and I was all dirty, and I had the voice and everything, and so I just went in there as a character, and I said, "This is TK409. I'm here to deliver a portfolio for Chris Bartlett." And they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, the art director's office is right over this way." And I never broke character, and so anyway, so then they it just so happened that everyone was leaving their offices to go to a company meeting, and I'm standing in the hallway, and everyone came out. So I'm surrounded by the whole company. I mean, like, it was so serendipitous, Josh, how this worked out. But I really do feel like I was inspired to do it, and so then that put me to the top of the pile of reviewing portfolios, and then they did, and then I got the job based on my work. But I got noticed because I left an impression of a stormtrooper. That's how I got into games.
That is
And there's an
so
article
cool.
online. If you go search how to get a job as a stormtrooper, there's an article online of how I did it and what I did. And so I just told you the short story, but yeah.
Wait, so Epic Games, those are the people that made Fortnite. So you've worked on Fortnite?
Yeah, so I worked on Fortnite. So actually, there's a little Easter egg in Fortnite. And you played Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I designed. When you're building something and the player opens up a little blueprint before he starts
Yeah.
building, that's like tells the player that you're building in building mode. So if you go play Fortnite, and instead of just standing out in the field, if you back up against a structure, put your back up against a structure, and then go into build mode, the player opens the blueprint really close to the screen. Okay, and so if you look in the lower right hand corner, it says C Bartlett, as because I'm the architect of, or I designed the little blueprint graphic, and then I just put my name on it. So it's kind of like I was the architect in fictionally of all the Fortnite buildings. Of course, now that they know that, they'll probably change it. But it's, if you go look at it right now, it's still. And that was from, like, I did that in like 2011 maybe, and it's still in the game. So with all the updates, so you gotta go check it out.
Holy sh!
Yeah,
Yo, yo, you're
yeah.
that is so badass, dude. What? As soon as this interview is done, I'm going to look. That
All right.
is
Okay, good.
so cool. I'm gonna
I hope
take a
it's still in
picture
there
and I'll
from
send it to
now
you.
on. Okay.
That is so
Yeah.
cool.
You got to back
Oh
up to
my
a building. Remember, you got to back up to a building and then hit. I think it's X on an Xbox controller, where you can build. Anyway, check it out. Tell me if I'm lying.
That's so cool, dude. Oh my
Yeah, so I worked on
oh.
Fortnite, the first 4 Gears of War games, the Tomb Raider reboots, and yeah, and then I was on Call of Duty for about 3 years, on Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone. And so my responsibility was to direct all of the user interface for all of those projects, um, and and um, design them, and then also work with build a team of artists to also build those or to design those too. And then I directed all their art on that too. So it's very gratifying, and it's a really fun game. Modern Warfare and Warzone. I'm really proud of it.
What do you enjoy about working in the and just being able to direct stuff that makes the game more fun or like creating stuff, man? Like,
What? Sorry, you cut out a little bit there. Can you repeat the question?
oh yeah, no. Sorry about that. My connection's weird. But I said, what do you enjoy about working in the gaming medium? Just looking over stuff and creating things for games. Like what is that like to work in this medium to just enjoy all of that stuff?
Well, what I like about it and what it's like are two different things. So, what it's like can be long hours, intense, creative meetings, and stuff like that. But what I like about it is I love making entertainment, that gets you to feel something. Like whether the feeling is, oh, I can't wait to get back and play that tonight after work, or wow, that felt so good to blow that building up or whatever, um, pretend. And I like making stuff where that is fun, because I'm a fun kind of person. I love to have fun. I love to have experiences. I love to learn new things, and I just love creating that for people and making it look cool. I also like to try to make it. I make everything that I make it for something that I would want to have fun doing. So none of it's phoned in. It's stuff that I would want to play. And if I don't like it, then I would change it until I do. So that's fun. Also pays pretty good. So yeah, I also like that part. Yeah,
Pay is always nice,
yeah,
especially for doing something that you love.
yeah.
Just you're just having fun, and people are basically just paying you to have fun and just to make sure that others have fun. Like that's the dream, man. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Well, they're not paying me to have fun. They're paying me to make fun. And so for
Right.
me, the making the fun is fun, but somebody has to make these games. Somebody has to make these shows. Uh, it is actual work. And yeah, but anyway, it's fulfilling work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this building and creating more and talk about, making suits. And I was listening to one interview and you were talking about, on you also, restore and build old cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. So you've done a lot of cool stuff. But, why does building suits or like working on old cars and stuff like that excite you so much?
I don't know. It started when I was a kid. My dad, he was not like a mechanic or anything, but he was always really creative whenever he would make something. So he would like hand draw it out. Here's what we're gonna do and everything. Um, and I gained a real love for using my hands to make stuff and fix things, or because yeah. Anyway, why? I think because when I'm done with it, it's just so gratifying. Like when like my dad would build this like soapbox derby car. That's a car without an engine that you push down a hill and you race other cars. And for me, like I was such an imaginative kid and always escaping. You know, that I just felt like, wow, we just built a car, Josh. We just built a car. I could go anywhere. And and then when it came to as an adult, uh, you know, there were kits that you could buy that were cost stormtrooper kits, that you could assemble. And I also, as a kid, I would build model kits, like of cars and stuff. So I like the idea that you could assemble something and it looked real. And so I would build, Stormtrooper, and then I was like, okay, cool, wow, I have a Stormtrooper costume, you know. But now, like, what if I saw a real Stormtrooper? What would he sound like, or what would he talk about, or what would he do, So then I was like, I want to make this as real as possible. And then I just started going, crazy, like building other costumes, like this Tusken Raider, or I was building bounty hunters for my kids, or Jawas, or like, I don't know. And then it just like I just really liked it. Was satisfying when it was done. I guess because I liked what it looked like, but I also like to see other people feel something like, oh, that's really neat, or then to have an interaction. Like, it's one thing to see a costume and go like, wow, I really appreciate that. Looks really real. But then when they would have a interaction, like if Jawas for my kids, and the kids would make like a little sound or something, people like, oh my gosh, this is like a real Jawa. Or you see people at a convention, you're dressed as a stormtrooper and you're talking to them in the voice and stuff, and they suddenly they have the suspension of disbelief, like I want to believe this is real. And if you're doing a good enough job as a performer and as a maker of the costume, you know they will feel that this is real. Same thing, like R2 builders, you see them at conventions and stuff. You see a real R2 rolling around and it's reacting to you and you're talking to it. Suddenly you find yourself talking to it like, hey R2, where you been? Where are you going? And then then you're pretending like Luke, you understand what R2's saying. He's beeping at you, and if you've got a good performer that you can't see him, he's in the crowd somewhere, and it's just you and R2, like that's a magic moment. So I love creating those kind of moments. And it's all part of the user experience, the audience experience or whatever. I love making things where people can feel something.
And you've done an amazing job with that. And, this building has led into your fabulous career in the Star Wars universe. And want to dive
That's
into that now, man. It's amazing how much you've done, and like I said in the beginning, you've been able to don the iconic golden boots of everyone's favorite droid C-3PO, man, and it's right
yeah,
there, right next to
yeah.
you. No, doing it for multiple TV shows and specials and commercials and movie premieres. What has the feeling been like to play C-3PO beside Anthony Daniels and even being able to meet the man himself?
Um, you want to know what it's like to be
I'll say it
C3PO?
again. Sorry, my
Yeah.
connection's a little bit of a mess. But
Okay, look at this.
what I was saying is,
No, I got it. You asked what is it like to don the costume. I'm going to show you what it's like. Okay. First of all, this is the helmet. This is the actual one that we used on Obi-Wan Kenobi and on all the Hollywood premieres and stuff for the new films. And so here's what it's like. Okay. You have to unscrew it so you're bolted in. Some of them have screws, and then it comes apart. And so in the face, this is get ready for a nightmare, Josh. Okay, in the face, all you can see out of is these two little holes, and those holes are the the pupils of C3PO, right? So what is it like? It's like this. Okay, so
whoa,
it's not
jeez.
it can if you're claustrophobic, your desire to wear or become the character has to be greater than any fear that you have that could keep you from becoming that character. So so anyway, another thing that I would say is if you are claustrophobic, you would want to look. Don't look at the inside. You know how like we watch Iron Man, we can see the inside of the helmet. You know, all the
Yeah.
user interface, all the heads up displays. We see Robert Downey Jr.'s face. We see like what it's like inside the helmet. Um, First of all, in this situation, you don't want to look inside because then you'll start to feel claustrophobic because you saw how like dark it is in there. You want to look through the face, like through the eyes, and you want to see focus on what's out there. You don't want to focus what's in here. You want to focus on what's out there because what's out there is people who are super excited to work with or meet or say hi to this guy. Okay, so that's what I focus on. Then you don't get claustrophobic. What is it like to work with Anthony Daniels? That was the other question.
Yeah, like what is it like to have been able to meet the man himself?
Um, what it's like to meet Anthony Daniels? Have you ever met him?
I've not met him. One day, hopefully one day.
You will. One day you'll have an interview with him or something, or you'll meet him at a convention or something, and you'll get to meet him, and then you'll know for yourself what it's like to meet Anthony Daniels. Um, and my experience has been Anthony is a legendary Star Wars actor who has done thousands and thousands of appearances, you know, as C3PO in all the films, on TV and everything. And you know, he you could argue he created this character. You know, George wrote it, he described it, and Liz Moore sculpted it, and Anthony performed it, this character, and also did the voice. So, you know, this is you could say it C3PO belongs to Disney and Lucasfilm, but you could also say that you know it's his. He created this character, and so with anything that you create or make yourself, you know, like to your mom, you are her creation, and she loves you and she supports you, and she doesn't want anyone to take you away from her, and she doesn't want to see anything bad happen to you or anything like that. So with any creation, that is the feeling that you have, and you wouldn't want anyone to mistreat your creation or to put it in any kind of bad light or anything like that. And so, I am not speaking for Anthony Daniels. I am imagining that that is how he feels about C3PO, and that anyone who comes in contact with this character from a behind the scenes side of it, you would want to treat this character who has become such an icon in film history um, with reverence and respect, and that's what I try to do with C-3PO. And the reason I do that is because I do respect Star Wars. I respect the work of Anthony Daniels, and I respect this character. And so, there are people out there who, you know, try to play characters from a fan perspective. Like you see a stormtrooper walking around and he's got his helmet off and he's smoking a cigarette or something that's not what I expect, to see a stormtrooper do. Um, and likewise, you wouldn't want to see C-3PO walking around talking, in a way that wouldn't be appropriate for C-3PO, or doing things that you wouldn't want to see 3PO doing, or that anything that would be inappropriate to that character, you would want to see. And neither does Disney, neither does Lucasfilm, and neither does Anthony Daniels. So I would say that I've been very blessed to work with him and to see him work as well, and that's been a real joy.
Yeah. I you've done it, man. Like, this role as C-3PO. You know how you've been C-3PO for 16 years now, right?
Yeah, yeah. So everywhere you see 3PO outside of the movies, so television and the Oscars and Super Bowl commercials and special appearances on ABC shows or Good Morning America or red carpet premieres for Hollywood, or now in Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I performed in the suit, and Anthony Daniels did the voice, and so it was really really special to see 3PO doing what his primary function is, Josh, which is uh, etiquette and protocol, but also as a translator droid. Because we never see him actually getting to do this, you know, in the films, except under duress. I think it was great in Return of the Jedi. We did get to see him telling the story of the rebels to the Ewoks. So that was one example. That was the first time we saw that, I think. Yeah. And then since then, he's always been, a fish out of water kind of a character. And anyway, so then in Kenobi, we were on Alderaan, and we were and 3PO was interpreting between a human character and an alien character, played by Morgana Ignis, and and you can see the character, the alien is like gesturing and speaking, and then 3PO is interpreting, voiced by Anthony Daniels. So, would you like to hear what it was like on set?
Oh, we're getting into that. We're getting into that. You're going ahead. You're jumping ahead.
Okay, all
We're
right,
gonna get to that. I'm so excited to talk about Kenobi. It's fresh. It just wrapped up a week. Yeah, wrapped up a week ago now. That's crazy. Love that show. I don't care what anyone says. I love Kenobi. I really like that show. Really excited to
great.
see what they do with that character next.
Yeah.
Real quick though, did you get to meet Jimmy Smits?
He was in that scene, yes, but not. I didn't meet him as Chris Bartlett. It's okay
Damn.
though. It was way better. It was way better as 3PO. I did
How
work
does it?
directly with. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. Yeah, because this is another question.
Oh, that scene. The director said, Deborah Chow said, "Why don't just suit up to the neck. You don't have to put the head on. Just come out, and then we'll let you know when it's ready." but I said no. I think uh, 3PO should come out, and that everyone can meet 3PO for the first time. Everyone here who hasn't met him. And so what I did was I came out in full character, and just like I'm lost, like he's lost. My goodness, is this a droid maintenance facility? R2, R2D2, up, get over here at once. That kind of thing. And so when I came out, it was you people had this really emotional, genuine, and sincere feeling to seeing 3PO for the first time, and it really made the shoot that day feel very kind of emotional because like Jimmy Smits is there, who we know from the prequel films, and a hundred other things too, but in context of Star Wars. And then also 3PO and R2 are there, who a lot of these people had only seen in films and never met in person. So we had a little bit of a photo shoot at the end of the day where R2 and 3PO went around and talked to everybody, and then we all got photos together. It was really special. It was really uh, emotionally gratifying to be part of that and to help create that kind of a feeling. So that's what it was behind the scenes. Also, Vivian, who plays Little Leia, loves droids, and she was always talking to R2. So funny. In between takes, she would run over and talk to R2. The performer, thankfully, was beeping and talking, talking back to her, and it was just really special. So it was fun to see that too.
Ooh, it's so
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Um, I just gotta ask, man, how does it feel to know you were at the birth of Disney Plus live action Star Wars, man? I know you saw the original movie when it came out, and that was a big thing for everyone, but you and so many other artists and actors and creators with the start of The Mandalorian really were at the birth of what is now growing into something so much more. We're now getting Ahsoka. We still got Andor coming out at the end of this year. How does it
Yeah.
feel to know that you were there at the birth, at the start of all of this?
Let's see. I wouldn't say I was at the birth because that was really started with Dave Filoni and John Favreau. But in terms of visually, what I was there at the first episode as the ferryman. Um, that was a surreal day, Josh, because it felt like my whole fandom life had flashed before my eyes just as I was about to step up onto that frozen pier in the volume. And it felt like everything was just slowed way down, like I'm taking this first last step from, I don't know. I'd been working at that point for 12 years as an actor, but I just felt like this is a real narrative, Star Wars narrative that I'm stepping into, and so it just felt really slow motion. And you have all these like emotional feelings, like oh my gosh, I'm so excited, but you have to like push those down. You're a professional, and you're gonna tell a story with this character that you've created, worked on. So just keep all of that like here until it's done, and then you can go home and blow up. So that's what it was. Just as you can imagine what it would be like stepping onto that stage, that's how it felt. It felt exactly how you could imagine. So
Jesus.
yeah. Also, I thought it was going to be a fairy man. I didn't know it was going to be a ferryman. Because that's how the production assistant, when she called me, she told me, we're going to have you come in for the ferry man. And I'm like, is this like Lord of the Ewoks or who is this character? Am I going to be shirtless? Anyway, thankfully it was not. It was, he's right over my shoulder here. The Kubaz character that we saw in A New Hope in the streets of Mos Eisley, that species, I was so grateful I got to wear a shirt that I wouldn't be topless in that. So yeah.
How are these suits made? And like, what are they made of? Like, it's so cool watching like Disney Gallery and just seeing you guys getting put into these suits and like them screw the stuff on and stuff like that. So I'm just interested, like, how these suits just come to be.
Well, they come to be by very talented people. And it starts with a concept art. Like this is a drawing of Q90 up here by Brian Mattias. Uh, that he reads the script and then he draws a bunch of ideas, and then that goes to the director, and then they pick one of those ideas, and then that goes to the creature shop at Legacy Effects, and then they sculpt and cast uh, a like maybe 3D print also uh, character that as closely as possible resembles this concept, and then and that's how the costumes are built. They're made out of different materials. Sometimes they're like stiff rubber, sometimes they're fiberglass, sometimes they're plastic. But that's the process anyway. It goes from script to concept artist to the director approval to creature shop building it, and that's how they're made. But there's of course a whole bunch of other steps, and like painting, like weathering, and stuff like that. But that's how they're made and what they're made out of. Oh, then you also got to figure out how the wearer is going to be able to wear it.
To see.
Because like it's one thing to
Yeah.
make it look right, but then what about like go back to user experience? Is the actor in the suit going to have a terrible experience? Is this going to be like? Is this going to be painful? Is it going to be scary? Is it going to be hot? Whatever. So you have to also build it so that it takes into account the person performing it as well. And sometimes that's successful, sometimes it's not. But yeah,
I I'm just one day, man, I hope to work with you on set one day and see you just come up in that droid suit and see you put it on and get it screwed on and just all that stuff is just so
wow.
cool to me. Like I said, I love the behind the scenes and just knowing how that stuff comes to be. Um what is set like what is set like what is set life like on a lot of these Star Wars shows?
Set life. A lot of times you have to get there 5:30 in the morning, and sometimes you're done uh, by 5, but sometimes it goes late. Like sometimes it's 9 o'clock. You and but they feed you so well, Josh. Oh man. And I'm like, I have to fit in this suit. You can't keep, enticing me with these amazing meals, and this amazing desserts and oh my gosh. So they feed you really well, and just the best, just delicious, delicious food. And sometimes you're
Making me
filming.
hungry.
I know. Sometimes you're filming on a stage, which is inside. Sometimes that stage is air conditioned. Sometimes it's not. So it can get warm in a costume, or it can get cold if it's winter. But if you're outside, um, your day is more like sun up to sundown. It doesn't go super late because you're outside and you're chasing the sun. But it can get hot out there, unless I've got a very reflective sunscreen like this guy. But it can get warm out there, or it can get really cold. I've been freezing out there because when the sun goes down, we're on the coast, so the ocean breeze comes in, and it can make you really cold. But look, that's the work, right? It also it can be painful in these costumes, like pinching here and down here and whatever. Um, I also do all my own stunts in the suits, so we could talk about that too. But that's the work. It's I, I can't, I can't. No one's gonna want to hear, a Star Wars actor complain about being in Star Wars, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that, you're asking what it's like. Yeah, there's some really awesome stuff about it, but it's also really physically demanding work.
I know I was listening to one interview where you were talking about I think it's you like were in a droid costume and he like fell and hit the ground hard and you were worried more about the costume than yourself at that point. Like,
Right.
stormtrooper
So,
almost stepped on you or something.
well, there's been so like I said, I do all my own stunts, and these suits are so there's no room for padding, Josh. I mean, it's fiberglass and plastic, and it's right, it's snug up against your body. Um, so one example is the RA7 droid, the bartender droid from season one, where there's this big shootout with the Death Troopers come in and blow up and shoot up the place. And Moff Gideon's outside. Um,
Oh, I know
this
exactly
whole
what
like
episode you're talking about too.
pyrotechnics going off, and stormtroopers are diving, falling and getting shot and all this stuff. And the joke is that I'm delivering the drinks to the table, and I make it all the way until one random shot ricochets and hits me, and I deactivate. When we're filming that, I bumped into one of the stormtroopers. We collided. We don't have great vision, but we collided, and I fell. Instead of falling on a nice cushion, stunt pad, I fell on the hard ground, and it was just like whiplash and hardcore crashing on the ground. And so Deborah Chow and John Favreau are standing over me, and I'm like, oh, I just need to take a break, just a quick break. And they're like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, but did it look good? And they're like, yeah, it looked awesome, but you fell in the wrong place. So, maybe it'll show up in the blooper reel. And sure enough, in Disney Gallery, you can see Deborah Chow looking at the monitors, and then there's a close up of me falling on the ground in the bar, and my legs are going up. And also, if you go back and watch that scene, they cut it together, and you can see me fall like 2 or 3 times in the kind of all the stuff that's happening. You can see like my legs fly up, and you can see me go down, and I was like, and there's a whole bunch of stuff clipped together. So you have to go back and watch that. But then also with One Jack in Kenobi, there, I get shot on the streets in that alleyway by Kumail Nanjiani. He shoots me in the back. And anyway, so the thing was, they're talking. That he shoots me, and then the conversation continues. Well, I can't fall on a pad because you can still see me in the background. So I had to. So all morning I fell on the ground like 12 times. Like it was my worst day of filming on season one, multiplied times 12. And so I was falling on the ground, falling on the ground, falling on the ground, and then in and then the shot they use in the show is the one shot I don't fall on the ground. Like I fall against the wall and I kind of like this, and I'm like, you didn't even move. Like I was like crashing and smashing and like anyway, and then you can see in the next shot I'm laying on the ground. So, but that actual shot where that you see in the show, I'm against the wall and I fall and kind of like this. I'm now off balance, and in this droid costume, there's no like you can't fix that, and so now I'm sliding down the wall, and I'm like and I smash on the ground, and it ruins the scene because everyone starts laughing. It was like the slowest motion death of a droid ever, and so Ewan and Kumail are laughing, and so I wish they would have shown that because it would have been so funny. But anyway, maybe it'll show up in Disney Gallery. But yeah, that was Hmm, challenging, but we got it done and it looked great. And then he shoots me
That
again.
sounds like it hurts.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard work to make Star Wars, but it's really fun to see it done.
Oh, absolutely. And when you have great creators like John Favreau and Dave Filoni bringing this baby, this bad boy to life, it's so cool. How is it like to experience both John Favreau and Dave Filoni's genius? I mean, Dave Filoni has made some of the best Star Wars content ever. I mean, look at
Right.
the Clone Wars and Rebels. I mean, this is
That
some of the best Star Wars content ever put to screen. Right, and Dave is still coming with more. Later this year we have Tales of the Jedi, and I'm so excited for that. Still more stuff coming from that talented mind. And what's it
yeah.
like just to experience those two firsthand?
They're very much like your next door neighbor. They're very. I mean, if you have a great next door neighbor, I mean, they're very down to earth and super like they love Star Wars just as much as I do, and they just want to like talk about Star Wars. And uh, John will come over sometimes, and he was like, when I played the Cascadag, he's actually right above me. This character right there in the okay, the Cascadag. Getting on the elevator, John Favreau comes over and he goes, "Hey Chris, I'm going to take you to comedy school." And I was like, "Let's go." And so he takes me over to the monitor and he's like, "Okay, see when you do this, when you walk on the elevator and you look at each other and you have this awkward moment, we want that to feel really relatable. Like everybody has had this kind of awkward moment on an elevator. Like, what do I do? Do I look this way? Do I smell bad? Do I talk to this person? Do I just remain awkwardly quiet, even though we're the only two people in the elevator? Everyone's had that. And so he goes, what we want to do is we want to time your look just right so that it feels funny, but not ridiculous. So I'm like, okay, good. So I had done so many different like tries of different things of like one time I looked at Mando and I looked at him like this and then I look away and then I'm just like like I like just go off screen and they were like, no, we want you to stay on screen. Anyway, so John was like, yeah, so we'll just do what you're doing. We're just gonna time it a little different and then that'll be it. And anyway, he was just so kind and really nice to talk to. It's really fun to come up with ideas about droids right there with him. Whether it's colors of droids or colors of their eyes or their paint or what how they would move. Or one example is not with a droid, but when I was doing the ferryman, I was doing a rehearsal with him and with Dave Filoni, and I was doing my lines were all in English. So I just made up a voice and I like made up a like how this character might be, and I made him kind of like a old Russian car salesman. And when I say Russian, I mean like stereotypical. Okay, like and so I was like in English when Mando says, "Oh no droids." I don't want the speeder, no droids. And I was like, oh, but I assure you the speeder is brand new. It just arrived on the Spinwood freighter. And John goes, oh, that's good. Let's just cartoon it down a little. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just do it slow. And then Dave was like, what is this species? Would what if this spoke alien language? Because this species spoke alien language in A New Hope. Would that be too much for people to read? And I was like, and all of us were like, no, Star Wars fans are used to reading subtitles of Jabba the Hutt and Greedo and other characters. And it would seem weird if he was like, spoke English. I don't know. Hang on. So anyway, he ended up speaking the same language that he does in A New Hope. But they're really cool, and uh, creative. Like they want to collaborate on stuff, work together, and that's another thing is as an actor, directors prefer. I've learned directors prefer an actor who they could like tone down, or that they could like adjust a little bit instead of like create them from scratch. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to walk in with nothing and just go like, all right, what do you want me to do today? Like have like so that's why I like make up a backstory on a character, make up a voice, or even if they don't use it, at least you have ideas. And uh, and so and so that's the way that they like to work, and they also like you to be on time, and they also like to have ideas. So they're both very similar that way. They're both kind of softer spoken people. They're not like you know as you've seen in interviews. Um, so just really nice to be around and really nice to work with.
I'm so glad you got to experience these two men, and to speak about the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. Are you a Clone Wars and Rebels fan yourself? Like, have you watched these
Yeah,
shows and see?
yeah.
Okay.
My favorite episode of Rebels is the Void, the one with all the droids are out in the middle of nowhere and they're trying to figure out where to go, and I love that one.
Oh,
It's like
I know
a it's
exactly
like,
what you're
like a
talking about.
desolate like landscape, and they're stranded or whatever, and it's just a whole bunch of droids trying to figure something out. That's my favorite episode. But and Clone Wars, yeah, I've watched all of them, and um, uh, I love Yoda's, that we get to learn so much about Yoda's teaching and his like philosophy and how he approaches things through the awesome, amazing voice of Tom Kane. Um, and anyway, so yeah, I love both of those, and I love Bad Batch also. You know, uh,
Dave Bradley Baker, baby.
Steve
Yeah, I
Bradley
love.
Baker is he is. I mean, people say like, "Oh, Chris, you played several characters, in Star Wars, maybe the most." And I'm like, no, D. Bradley Baker has played the most. He's played all the clones in the galaxy. So, and D is a great friend. I've worked with him, and really love every time we get to hear another clone's voice. It's always different, and it's always great. He's so talented, not only as a human performer, but as a creature performer as well. All the creature sounds that he comes up with, and he's in everything. He's in freaking everything, and I say good for him. I'm so happy for him.
No, I love when Dave Bradley Baker gets credit, but I need my boy Corey Burton to get credit too, man. I need him to get
Yes,
his credit too. Listen,
that's
listen,
right.
Cad
And
Bane,
yes,
Book of
how
Boba
how
Fett.
how awesome was it to be able to hear Corey's voice go from Clone Wars to Book of Boba Fett? Like, oh, and to see, um, the characters in the Clone Wars and in the animated series are caricatures of what the real character would look like, and we've seen that with Cad Bane. Like, you know, when you see an animated character move to live action, there's going to be way more definition and detail in his costume, in his voice, in his appearance, and everything. And so, it's like if you've ever seen the old animated series Droids, where you got to see C-3PO and R2 in this kind of stylized caricature version of them. Um, I think it's really interesting to see characters go from, like you mentioned, Transformers. Like you grew up with animated uh, Optimus Prime, and then you get to see him in real live action. Like there's so much more detail that you never knew. That's really really cool. So anyway, yeah, Corey Burton, hearing his voice as Cad Bane, and Dorian Kingi as the performer as Cad Bane, it was phenomenal, and and what Legacy Effects did with the costume and everything is just so cool. I love being part of this, Josh.
I do not blame you. It's so amazing. I remember it what time was it? I remember I went to sleep and I woke up and Corey texted me and he was like, "All right, well, now that the show's officially released, watch the episode for a special surprise." I said, "There's no way in hell it's who I think it is." I get to that episode when I
Yeah,
see my boy when I see
yeah,
Cad Bane, I lift
right.
from my seat and I
Yeah,
scream.
when he in that in the brim of his hat, when he when he looks up and you get to see his eyes. Oh, that was such a moment. That was
Yeah,
great.
oh, that voice is so cool too. It's so
Yeah,
menacing and just I
so
remember talking to
unique.
him about
Yeah,
how he made the voice with John Favreau and Robert Rodriguez, how they both
yeah,
helped him create this more menacing and spooky, just like rendition of a character from the Clone Wars. I was just like, dude, like, and
right.
then he was in Bad Batch 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, my boy's back, my boy.
So you see what I'm talking about, where you take a stylized caricature of a character and then move it into live action. Even the voice has to have richer or more detail in it. And so, like what you're talking about with Corey, he adjusted the voice to be, I'm sure, have more definition to it, more detail, and more spookiness because that character really is. Oh, my heart was broken when that character was, when Boba Fett took him down. I'm like, no, I want to see more of him.
Me and Corey go back and forth
Now we
about
see.
that too.
I mean, I'm not saying anything. I don't know anything. I literally don't know anything. But like, we saw in Kenobi, someone could get a lightsaber through them, and then they survive. So anything
Cat
goes.
Bane's
I
not
think.
dead. I don't care. I don't think he's dead. There's no way you bring such a beloved character like that and nah. They're bringing him back. There's no way.
I
There
mean, Darth Maul
definitely
was
is.
chopped in half for crying out loud. He came back. So
Right? Look at
nobody
that.
is
So
ever really gone. Right.
nope. Hey,
Yeah.
if they do not bring Cad Bane back, I riot. That's simple. Simple. That's it. Look, I just need him to come back because that was so cool. And I honestly think that has been my favorite. Even though I love Corey and like Clone Wars and Bad Batch, I think this is my favorite rendition that he's done on the character, like so
Oh, cool.
far. How spooky it is,
Yeah.
and just what he did. I always compliment him on what he did with that voice because I'm just like, dude, you knocked it out of the damn park.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I sent him the pictures of like the Hot Toys figures. I know you have some. I think you have like a C3PO one, right? Sideshow collectibles, right?
Well, a sideshow. What you do? I own one.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, do you
Yeah,
have one of those?
I have the legendary scale. Can you see it back there? No. Hang on.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Look how big it is. Look at this. It's huge. It's massive.
What the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah. So legendary scale sideshow. Pretty
So
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, but I do. But now I have two action figures of my own. There's a Black Series one
Zero,
jack now
baby.
and Q90. That's right. Yeah. So I don't have a one jack yet, but I did modify my forlom so it would kind of like be like one jack. But yeah, you can't pre-order. He won't be available till like November or something. But anyway, that's another thing. It was always a dream to be in Star Wars, but I never imagined it would actually happen. I just always dreamed about it. And then when you get an action figure, and then you get two action figures, like I don't know how this fan life could get any better. I'm just so grateful to be part of it. No, I'm blocking creepy other.
Oh
Elf over
my
here.
gosh, no, that is. I'm so happy for you, man, and just know that you bring so much passion and dedication to each role. I mean, this makes me even happier and excited for each role that you take on, and just how you think of the fans in mind, and just all of your creative experiences culminating into like one thing to make just a fantastic experience for us the fans. It's amazing, and
Thanks,
we
Josh.
can't give you enough flowers, and thank you enough for yours and so many others contributions to just making this galaxy feel so much bigger. I'm so excited for what
Ah,
stars has
that's
next, man.
so nice of you to say. When I go to conventions, I love it when fans of the show come in costume. Because I post on my Instagram. I'll take a little video, little snippets to show, not only how cool their costumes are, but also to try and bring their character out of the costume. And so that's why I'll say, like, all right, let's do like a, you know, do some kind of, we want some action, or what would this character do, or what would they look like, or how would they feel. And so I give them just a little bit of direction, and then they run with it, and it's just like we have just the most fun time at these conventions. Um, and then I film it and I cut it all together, a little edit, and then put it on my Instagram, and then I have them just comment or something so that I know their name so I can tag them in it. And then it's just like a fun little thing we make together. So every convention I do that. I love meeting fans in costume. I mean, Star Wars is my favorite, but if you have another kind of costume, I'll do video of that too. So anyway, yeah, if I'll post my dates coming up for conventions on my Instagram and Twitter.
Are you
And
coming to Georgia? Are you coming to Georgia?
you have something called the camp, right, in Georgia? It's like
I
it's like Walking Dead.
Yeah, all the Walking Dead stuff happens down here.
The
Yep.
camp events, yeah. So I really want to come. I want to come to that. And because a couple of my castmates, Misty Rosas and Barry Lowen, are going to that, and so I love Walking Dead, and anyway, I'd love to come to that one. I really want to visit Georgia too. So
You've never
yeah,
been?
I mean, I have been, but it's been a long time,
Okay,
and I love it.
got you.
I love Georgia. So yeah, if you know
Georgia's
anybody who works on the camp events, let them know that I would love to come, and I might bring some surprises with me.
so
Maybe
quiet.
some used props. Yeah. So anyway, um, yeah.
when when figuring out how to play the various droids and aliens you've played, what's the biggest help in that process?
In playing the characters,
Yeah, like figuring out how to play them.
um, well, let's say new characters. Let's say a character we haven't seen. Well, all of mine largely we've seen like droids and stuff. Well, let's just pick. I'm just looking up above. This is really great that you did this because this really helps me remember. Um, let's say One Jack, who just appeared in Kenobi. We saw. So preparation. I try to find something that I can. I look at this character. I read about this character. I read the script. I invent. Some kind of backstory. I invent a voice, even if they don't speak English. Just like how would they sound? And so that helps. Um, and the costume a lot of times helps me with that because I'm not looking at my face. I'm looking at a character that's already before me. Um, with One Jack, he is a Lam class droid. That is like I mentioned. This is for Lam. So One Jack is a Lam class droid. So he and the last time we saw a Lam class droid was 4-Lam in Empire Strikes Back, and he largely just kind of stood there. So as fans, then we got to have comic books and stuff like this, and see him in video games and everything. Like, he was really full of action. But in the films, we never live action, never got to see him do any action. And so when it was presented to me that I was cast as One Jack, they said, this is going to be, we want this droid to be the most kick-ass protocol droid you've ever seen. So we want to see it. I did a screen test of running and jumping in the suits, in the droid legs and body. Running and jumping. They said, we're going to have you climb a ladder, and I was like, okay, we'll figure that out when we get there, whatever. And so I did that, and then I just did I had 2 pistols. I knew I had 2 pistols. So I'm like, I want this to feel nothing like C-3PO, nothing like 4-Lam that we've seen in Empire. I want him to feel really like he moves fast. He's got a range of motion. He can, dual wield. That he stands. He has a stance that's like a gunslinger, so like legs apart. Whereas 3PO stands with his legs together like this, right? But One Jack, I wanted him to have a stance like a gunslinger, and anyway, so that's I tailored the suit myself to be able to make movements like that, running and jumping, and have a stance like a gunslinger. And then also I made all of my movements be really quick, really fast, faster than what 3PO might do, and also very aggressive. And so anyway, that's why I do that with all the characters. Like when I came to Zero, he looks like a praying mantis. So I just watched a bunch of videos praying mantises and how they move, and they are super creepy. Like their heads will stay still, but then their bodies will move while their head's staying still, and they're just really strange. So I treated him like that, and I had his motion like that. Ferryman was pretty much just he's out in the cold, he's out there lonely, trying to make him feel a little bit pathetic, but also he's got a job to do, like like that. And also like the traffic droid, I made him be kind of clumsy, like he's kind of like clompy like this, so he would feel different, so that when he gets all spun around, it makes sense because he's all he's not kind of unstable. So that was I don't know, I read the script and see what the action is, and then kind of come up with like why they are doing what they're doing. Oh, maybe it's because he has faulty joints or faulty programming or something. He's all so I just making stuff up. It's all pretend, Josh. And so yeah, it's really fun to create these characters up.
Well, let's get into Zero a little bit, man. The really cool character that those guys put together for the Mandalorian. So mad that Mando wanted to kill him, but I get it. When you're coming for the child, the Grogu,
Right.
you gotta step in. But
Gotta come.
really wish, yeah, true. But that's such a cool character, and I do have to get that Black Series. I gotta add him to the rest of these guys behind me. I have. What do I have so far? I have Ahsoka, I have Bo-Katan, Captain Rex,
Mm-hmm.
Commander Cody, Obi-Wan Kenobi, bunch of clone troopers. I'm a big clone trooper guy. I have a ton of those.
Right. Right. See, so you gotta, but when you get them, you have to take them out of the package, and then you can pose them in these amazing, cool poses. Look at this. This was my go-to pose when I was in Zero, like the one-handed,
Yeah.
I always wanted to, but so I appeared in that costume, whether it's the same character or not, we don't know. But in episode 3, season 1, episode 3, where all the Mandos come and rescue Mandalorian, I was in the shootout there, and if you watch it, you can see me in the costume. And I got this really cool foam version of the blaster, so it was lightweight, so I could like really like shoot and do all the stuff I wanted to do. And then when I shot the episode 6 in the cockpit and everything, they gave me like a fully metal prop blaster that was like it will
You have
probably
it?
weigh like 20 pounds. Yeah. And so I'm trying to like walk around the ship and like holding this thing and like trying to not look like I'm putting any effort in it because I'm a machine. And so anyway, that was I don't know why they changed it. They changed that, but it was a different blaster. That's the other thing. Anyway, he's my favorite.
Do you
290.
still do you still have the gun with you? Did you get to keep it? Like,
No,
ah, do you get to keep
no.
any of the suits besides 3PO?
Oh yes. So that's like I have the teacher droid right here. The actual teacher droid we use is the traffic droid is right down here. This is Yo from Kenobi, played by Daniel Bowman, and this is well, okay.
I just love how he has all this stuff, y'all. Like, this is just so cool. This is
One
so
Jack.
cool.
Look at that, and the green light, the eyes are they light up. I don't have it lit up right now, but you can see that light transmits through there. Anyway, it's not a solid. Anyway, you can see the light in there. You can see it's green. But yeah, it's he's a really cool character. But so this is one of the production hits. So we made two of them. One of them is with my buddy who sculpted it, and then this one is the other one that was in case that one broke. So this is the one of the production hits. Cool, right?
Yo!
And I could
I
only see through here.
What? Are you you have to be joking. What?
This comes off, but anyway, yeah, I could only see through this part, which is really it's bigger than C3PO, but it's in the middle, so it's a little harder to look through.
To
But
see.
anyway, he's
Wow.
he's very cool and mean looking.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I do too.
I
So
love
yeah, I
it.
do keep some things just because that is just how it is.
That's so cool, man. And
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about Kenobi now. Like, how'd you find out you were gonna be a part of that show? Did they like call you, or were they like, did you have to audition? How'd that go?
Well, I'm working with the same people that I work with on the other shows, so they know my work there. And yeah, they called me, and then we talked about creative things, and then they're like, "Okay, this is the day we're filming. Be ready." And that's pretty much all I can share about that
Oh,
process.
okay, all right. Have you gotten to
Yeah,
meet Ewan McGregor?
yeah, I worked with him in that scene on Kenobi, and then I also worked with him on that Volkswagen commercial. You can find it on my Instagram. So there's a Volkswagen commercial that was promoting Obi-Wan Kenobi. Volkswagen released a brand new bus called the Buzz, and it's all electric. And C3PO and R2 discover it on a set and on a movie set, and then find out that it's actually Ewan's vehicle he drives on it. But so I worked with him there, and then I also worked with him on Kenobi. So in that scene where I'm falling down all morning as one Jack, one time they take the helmet off, and I'm looking up, and Ewan is standing over me. He goes, "Chris, are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay, but don't you say it." And he's like, "What?" "You do not have the high ground on me." And he goes, "I would never say that." Anyway, he was a good sport about it, and because people say that to him all the time, right? But anyway, he was very nice. He was very concerned that I was getting smashed all morning, and and he was just checking on me. It was really nice. But yeah, when they first introduced me, they said, "Ewan, this is Chris. He's gonna be playing one Jack in the scene." He's like, "Oh, hello, Chris." And I was like, "Oh, I thought he was gonna say hello there."
Hello there.
but but he said my name, and hey, that's even better. But no, we got along really well. Part of it is because we both like um, restoring old vehicles, and so I have an old '62 Ford window bus, and he's got a '62 Volkswagen. I don't know, split window, whatever. Anyway, so then we just talked about like our philosophies on on restoring these vehicles, keeping them all cool and clean and brand new inside, and keeping the patina on the outside. Anyway, we talked about that. But yeah, no, we really connected on. Plus, we both ride motorcycles, so vintage motorcycles. So we both connected on that. So I'm like, dude, we got to go for a ride sometime. He's like, let's do it. So I'm looking forward to
Your
that.
bestie, Obi-Wan Kenobi is Chris's bestie. Y'all, he flexing on all of us. He's like,
That's right. Right. I mean,
that's so
I don't get birthday
cool.
cards yet from him, but you know, we have talked about it. We have worked several times together. So,
That's awesome that you got
and he's
to
awesome.
be a
He's
part.
so nice, so down to earth as well. And I mentioned that the directors are very down to earth. All of them are very down to earth. Rick Famuyiwa, Bryce Dallas Howard, Deborah Chow, Dave and John. Anyway, those everybody is really down to earth and very, but also really serious about doing the work. But no one is like mean or cruel or jerks. They're all super nice, and really very very cool to work with. Just such a pleasure to be part of this
Did you get to
group of
work with
folks.
any of the Inquisitors?
Yeah, I was there the day that I got to see Moses work, and she was really serious about trying to do a great job as a villain. But of course, we don't know the whole story of Reva, right? Until the end of, well, that's not even the whole story probably, but of that character. But knowing that she was, a youngling, a Jedi youngling, who then had been turned, to the dark side. She played that so well because I bet you people at the beginning were like, oh, okay, she's scary and she's mean, but she's not as scary as like Darth Vader. Well, yeah, no, she's a Jedi youngling. She has good in her. There's still light in her. I mean, she played it perfect. I mean, it was so such a cool twist. And I just thought I loved seeing her in person doing it, just like she just walks with purpose and she is like all about business. But then she was so nice to people. And then also, oh man, I'm going to mess up his
Rupert, who plays the Grand
name.
Inquisitor?
No, I didn't work with him. I worked with, man, I feel terrible.
He played the fifth brother,
Han
right?
in Fast and the Furious.
Okay,
Soon Kang, I think is how you pronounce it.
yeah, I
Anyway,
think, yeah.
he looked so cool. And he was the one, he had the
The
hat.
triangle hat. Yeah, yeah. Look
Yeah. And
yeah.
he walked all the way across the set to me as when I'm dressed as one Jack. He walked all the way across the set and came up to me and goes, your costume is so cool. And I was like, oh well, thank you. Some kind of whatever voice. But and then I took off the helmet and got to talk to him for a second. But he was just really admiring the costume, and that was really cool because he looked amazing too. He had all this prosthetic on for his face to make him look so creepy. So yeah, the Inquisitors. Those were the two Inquisitors I worked with, and that was
Uh,
in the street scene, the night scene in on the planet. I can't remember the planet's name, but anyway,
it starts with a D. It's Denai, I think it
I,
is, or
Dayu.
Dine or something. Yeah,
Dayu.
there you go.
Yeah.
You know better
That
than
night.
me. You know better than me.
But they were establishing me as a character in the background that I was talking with people trying to find Kenobi, and so I was just there when they were filming their stuff, and it was really cool. They're very, very cool people.
What's
It was
it
phenomenal.
like working on the volume for all of these shows? I'm so curious. It's sort of a
Yeah,
new brand of technology coming to filmmaking now. We're seeing it in stuff like the Batman, and some of the new Thor movie was shot on the volume too.
yeah.
So this thing is really making its way into the mainstream now. What's it like working on that, and how does that help enhance your performance as an actor?
Well, what was really cool is my first day on set as the ferryman. I'm seeing all this Unreal Engine stuff, and then I see this my friend from Epic Games, and I'm like, "We used to work together. How are we working together again? This is so weird." It was like 10 years later, and anyway, uh, you don't even have to pretend, Josh. You're on there, and it looks so real. It feels real. It's in a large round room with a ceiling that is the sky, and uh, it's so real. So like when I got to play Zero flying the Razor Crest, um, I'm in a real practical cockpit. Did you go to Star Wars Celebration?
No, I want to
Okay,
so bad
okay.
though.
Well,
Oh my
they had the
god.
cockpit there, the practical cockpit, and then they set that in the volume. So I am sitting in it as a 8-year-old child, so freaking excited to be flying in hyperspace and flying my own ship in hyperspace. Well, Mando's, but I mean, my response time is quicker than organics, and I'm smarter too. But anyway, I got to fly my own ship in hyperspace, and I'm surrounded by space, and it's not space that's like really close. It's like way out there. So it felt really realistic. And have you been to Galaxy's Edge in Florida?
I have actually. Yep,
Have you
I've
flown
done that.
Smuggler's Run?
Yes, I've been in the
On
Millennium
the Falcon.
Falcon.
Okay. So it's similar to that in that you're moving the sticks and the space is moving outside. It's like that. And anyway, and the ferryman. I'm out on the frozen wasteland. You can see all the way to the horizon. All that was in the volume. I've been on the volume many times, and it's just so you don't even have to pretend as an actor. Like I feel, even Ewan has talked about it. The prequels where they were just in entire set was just all green, you know, and you have to really work hard as an actor to imagine, a creature who's not even there in an environment where it's not even there, sitting in a ship that's not even there, like, you have to work hard to pretend. And for us on the volume is incredible because all of the color from the environment is now bouncing off of you, and it feels, even visually, to look at it, it looks so real. um, like I'm on set in the volume, and then I back up just far enough to see the monitor here of what the camera's seeing, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it looks so real. They didn't even edit it or anything. There's no CG. It's all there. So I think that's another part of what makes this series so special is that you mix practical with CG instead of all CG. You know,
And
so
I love
a
that.
lot of the
I said
practical,
that.
props and set dressing and stuff. Like pod racing engines and like um, you know um, shipping containers and droid parts and all that stuff. And then just slightly beyond that is the volume, and it just blends together. It's incredible. And it was all done on a video game engine. And here we go, like video games. I mean,
It's
like
all.
it's
It's
all
all.
connected. There are no coincidences.
I
Yeah,
love that, man. Well, I'm just, what was I gonna say? That's one thing I said when I was promoting this interview. I was like, one thing Star Wars has always excelled in, especially recently, is just the use of like creatures and animatronics and practical and CGI, and just bringing all this together to make it feel so real. Taking it back to what they were doing back in the day to create like the Death Star run, or using the X wings, or just taking it back to that classic blend of filmmaking. And I love that, and I'm so glad to see that being brought to the modern day to create a lot of these awesome shows, man.
Josh, the Death Star trench run was filmed in a parking lot like 20 minutes from me here in Los Angeles. They took practical stuff, and they took whatever they had, and they did whatever they could with what they had. And it's a film. Like, it's in the film. It looks like, the passes over the trench run where it's like a X-wing, crashes into the surface. That was done in a parking lot in Van Nuys, California. And they just rolled
Wow.
the camera by, so, you know, and you'd be amazed how much stuff we have volume and we have animatronics and stuff like that, but you'd be amazed um, how much you can do uh, and make it look good on camera with what with simple things. And I think people maybe overthink, what we're doing, but that's good. It's a magic trick, right? It's an illusion. And but I mean, like, if you took a like if you like say you have your action figure, and then you put it up, put a put it right up against the TV screen, and or maybe not up against the TV screen, but and then you put your phone on portrait mode, you put a scene on the TV, like, you've got a volume. That's your own volume. So, there's so many things that you could do as a filmmaker if you wanted, and don't get too hung up on like, oh, their technology is so high end. Like, if you have a story, you know, it's not enough to just have a cool costume. Just like it's not enough to have a costume, you have to have a character. Just like it's not enough to have um, an environment to have a film, you have to have a story, right? So if you have a story, and you could take a story from a story told 1,000 years ago, and you just spin it up the same story, and you work it, with new characters, or characters that are similar, but maybe they're, instead of medieval times, maybe it's in space, that kind of thing, or maybe instead of um, a western, it's in the future, but it's the same story. You could start with a great story, and and don't just rely on costumes, where you go out to the desert and have some stormtroopers and you have them running around. Like, have some kind of a story. And that is something that is unforgettable.
Yeah, man. I that's why, as a story, oh, thank you. As a storyteller, just watching all this stuff and watching all this media, it influences me, it influences my friends as we all come together. I'm a part of this huge film group, and we always talk about our ideas. It's funny, in 3 weeks we're about to go film a bunch of films right now, and I think he wants to put a bunch of these in like film festivals. So we're working hard on these, and we're making sure they're right and telling a beautiful story here. And Star Wars and Marvel, and all these indie films, they just inspire us as storytellers. And I'm just so excited to see what stories can do. And it just goes back to what you were saying in the beginning. Art serves as a function in our society. It serves something and speaks to something deeper in our souls, and I love that about every single art form out there. I love creating, man. Me and you the same. I love creating.
Good, good. That's right. Yeah, you make stuff, and your art, again. It art is used for function. It's used for beauty and used for escape, and those that it's a really, really essential part of any culture. So, but man, this has been great talking to you, Josh. Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun, and just to be part of one of the people that you interview, because you've interviewed some amazing people. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. You gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know, I got you, I got
Yeah.
you. Well, Chris, thank you so much, man. I have a couple gifts coming your way, that I give
Oh,
to all of my guests. So stay tuned for that, and just thank you so much. I'm so proud of you, man. Keep doing you, keep being
wow.
awesome,
Thanks.
and absolutely. And I'll be in touch. So you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so
You too,
much,
Josh.
and
All
all right,
right.
guys. See y'all later,
You
everyone.
too, brother.
Peace. Bye, guys.